Hi, I'm Greg Dell, and today's disability benefit tip is your own occupation definition of disability may not be what you think it is. I'm joined by attorney Stephen Jessup, and this particular tip is mainly geared towards group ERISA governed disability policies that have a definition of total disability, which is unable to perform the duties of your own occupation. And I'd like for you to explain to people why own occupation may not necessarily mean the duties that they were performing at the time they became disabled, and how this is then further evaluated by a disability insurance company.
Yeah, so generally this idea of own occupation, they're going to look at it, generally these policies 24 months, your inability to do the job you were doing. But the caveat when they define own occupation or sometimes regular occupation, the policy is it's not how you perform it for your employer or at your location, but how it's performed generally in the national economy. So it's this idea of a broad scope, one massive definition for one type of job. And what the insurance companies will do is they'll use certain like Department of Labor products, a dictionary of occupational titles, ONET, things like these that give real generic descriptions of what the job entails. So people may say, well, my job is nothing like that. Well, the policy unfortunately has this national economy standard, so that's what the insurance company is going to rely on more than anything.
And let's give the people who are watching this video like an example that would make it easy for them to understand. Let's just take a profession like a doctor. Okay, everyone knows there's 100 different types of doctors, right? From an orthopedic surgeon to a cardiac surgeon to, everything, right? So what happens when a cardiologist says, I can't do heart surgery anymore? Are they going to look at it as the substantial material duties of a heart surgeon, or are they going to look at it as being any kind of doctor? Because everyone has these specialties.
Well, that's the big question, because maybe some policies do have some specifications, especially to hospitals where they have it with doctors, things like that. But generally speaking, they're going to go first and take a look at the most general term and definition of it. Now, if there is a comparable, heart surgeon, there is a surgeon classification, but a lot of times they treat surgeons the same, heart surgeons the same as an orthopedic surgeon, things like that. So it can get very convoluted. And what we find more than anything, these insurance companies, instead of relying on what these actual duties are, they take a look at what the physical demands are according to that national economy standard, and they will try to throw your claim into the idea of, could you do light duty work? Can you do sedentary work? And most doctors, most medical levels come in at a light duty. An orthopedic surgeon is by no means light duty work, but they will strip it down to that base bare minimum to try to show, well, we think you can do light duty or you can do sedentary, so we think you can do this job, without even really considering the actual occupational duties.
And so to take that a step further, if you have someone who, say, is an engineer, and there's all different types of engineers, but let's say a computer engineer or something like that, and the disability company says, well, in the national economy, that job is sedentary. But yet this computer engineer says, wait, I was going to job sites all the time, I was carrying things that were 20 or 30 pounds, I was traveling all the time, I was barely at my desk. But you're saying the disability company is going to say, well, look, in the national economy, we see what you were doing, and we hear your employer telling us that you were out of the office all the time. You were barely even at your desk. You were standing and walking more than what the sedentary job would be, which would be sitting for 6 hours a day. But are you saying they would basically ignore that person's duties and just make it like maybe the typical job description of an engineer who's sitting 6 to 8 hours a day in front of a computer?
I don't like to speak in certainties, but I would say 99% of the time they will. Sometimes in certain occupations, they'll see if there's a cross classification, and they'll give you the benefit of the doubt of both. But no, they're looking for the easiest grounds to deny you. And if that is, hey, national economy, it's a sedentary job, we don't care if you're even up, your IT for your company, but your company maintains these massive, massive facilities that you have to go around. That's not what the job entails, according to the national economy, and therefore we think you can do the work.
Right, and so the battleground comes in, and where we help the claimants is to define what the national economy is, or try to argue that there is no national economy standard for the way in which this job was performed for this person, and flip it on them to say that you have the national economy wrong. You can't just take a general definition of an engineer like we're talking about, and that's what we do day in, day out to make sure people really are truly getting a real definition of own occupation and not the nonsense interpretation of this national economy standard. So if you have a long-term disability insurance claim and you're dealing with any issue whatsoever with your disability insurance carrier, feel free to contact Stephen, myself, or any of the lawyers on our team. We help claimants all over the country. We make the process really easy to get started with us, as all you have to do is click the button below to submit a free consult or call us on our toll-free number below. One of our lawyers will immediately answer your questions. We also welcome you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we're always putting out new videos like this. We've done hundreds of videos and we get great feedback from them. We love to do these videos because we like educating disability insurance claimants about this process, and we truly believe that the more you know about this process, the better position you'll be in to secure your disability benefits. So if we can help you to protect your benefits, we'd love the opportunity to discuss your claim with you.